What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are talking about the next big catalyst for AMC stock, and I think this is going to be a massive deal, and I think it's just around the corner. And if you guys are unaware of this, we're just gonna spit it all out, because for the most part in this video I want to go over why this makes sense and why Netflix has to eventually partner with AMC to show movies in theaters. Dun 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 dun. That is the big catalyst. Now, when you add all of these pieces together, I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later, and I think to do this by the end of the year makes a lot of sense. So let's get into this video, guys. Hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, and check out the sponsor of this video, that is Moomoo. They have a great promotion right now using my link in the description. When you fund an account and open an account, you get one free stock for opening that account. Once you deposit $100, you get an additional free share of Lucid Motors. Mind you, you do have to deposit $100, but you get $53 back right for doing that. Just the second you do that, you get that free stock. So check that out if you guys have not already. Definitely want to be a part of that platform, as well as links for other free stocks and the link for the buy and sell alerts if you guys want to be a part of that. Love and appreciate every single one of you guys for doing those things and help make this possible. Now, let's get into this information, because I want to tie this all together at the end, how this would actually make AMC stock go crazy, potentially bring the FOMO buyers back into AMC. So I think it's no surprise, it might be a surprise to some people, but Netflix has been releasing some movies into theaters, but the way that they have been doing it is not as ideal as it should be. And Netflix ultimately, like I said, they will have to release these movies in theaters over the next couple of years, right? But I do think it's advantageous for Netflix to start doing this by the end of this year, and we're going to go over why that is. But right here, this was back August 30th. This tweet from CNBC says Netflix eyes more theatrical releases in bid to have bigger cultural impact, JP Morgan analyst says. And I think it goes a lot deeper than just that. And there's a lot of information here, so it might be a little bit sporadic, but we'll tie it all together at the end of this video. So this is also another article that I just shared with you guys yesterday. Cinemark puts theater chain rivals on notice. Why not carry Netflix films? And it says Red Notice in hundreds of locations in a pandemic era team up, but AMC and Regal aren't on board. Now, Cinemark is not the biggest movie theater chain. The biggest movie theater chain is AMC Entertainment. The second biggest movie theater chain is Cineworld. Sorry. So Cinemark is the third largest movie theater chain, but they have about half the amount of screens as AMC. And mind you, not all of these movies are carried on every single screen. So that is also important to know. But let's continue on with some of this other information. And this is what the CEO of Netflix had to say about the content and how they plan to basically build around this tweet that they said in August, have a bigger cultural impact to make more high quality films. So right here, he says in quotes, when you have 200 pieces of content a year, there is naturally going to be variety, and quality is subjective, she said. Just because something isn't well reviewed doesn't mean it's poor quality or that it doesn't deliver on the promise of premise. You turn on Red Notice because you want to be entertained and see giant movie stars. Still, Mr. Stuber split his commercial film team in two in July in an effort to ramp up output this year. Netflix will release 70 films and to improve the quality of the product. Mr. Stuber said he charged the groups with spending more time working closely with their filmmakers than they have in the past. The reason? He wants better movies. In quotes, if you have the budget to make 14 movies and you only have 11 great ones, then let's just make 11, he said. That is what we need to aim towards, because you really are in a deeply competitive world now, and you want to make sure that you are delivering at a pace that people see greatness consistently instead of randomly. So it definitely looks like they want more movies that are going to be theater quality, or could go into theaters, right? That would potentially be blockbuster movies. And Red Notice, if you guys have not seen that, check that out. That is a great movie. That is theater worthy. Yes, it's played in theaters. Only about 600 theaters are going to be showing this, or 600 screens are going to be showing that movie, but that's the kind of quality movies that they want. Not necessarily to put them all onto Netflix, but to take those movies into theaters. Now, that is subjective. That is my opinion, because they are doing great as a business as well. Obviously, Netflix stock has been doing well. The business has been doing well as well. Now, something else you guys may have not known, or maybe you do, depending how long you've been involved, possibly trying to acquire AMC. And that doesn't make a lot of sense with the amount of debt that AMC does have, over $5 billion worth. But this was as of September 27, 2021. Netflix, the company, owns one theater in New York, purchased in 2019, and one in Los Angeles, which it bought in 2020. So they're slightly familiar with the movie theater industry. And I think this makes them more comfortable doing, the revenue splits, things that are associated with the theater industry, like theatrical releases. That is the biggest reason why not all Netflix films are in all theaters at the current moment. It is the theatrical release times. That is why AMC, Cinemark have not agreed to show all Netflix movies, and that's why Cinemark or Cineworld and AMC have not agreed to show all Netflix movies, because Cinemark has essentially agreed to do this. That's why they're kind of calling on these other chains to accept Netflix movies into theaters. Now, Netflix has also themselves said, hey, we don't want all movies going to theaters, and the ones that we do, we're going to have our own theatrical release dates. As you guys can see right here, Army of the Dead was one of the biggest movies that Netflix let into theaters, and that only scored $1 million in the US box office, which goes against its reported $90 million budget. And that's a key that I want to talk about as well, is the cost of making these films. That is what is ultimately going to force Netflix's hand. But you guys can see right here, the kind of movies, the titles, the theatrical release type, all of these are basically limited theatrical releases, but they all vary from the release date to the Netflix release date. Some of these are a week, some of these are less than that, some of these are a month. None of them are over 1 month. Most of them fall in between about 2 weeks time, which is a decent amount of time to have the movies playing in theaters, and I think AMC will start to open up to that. But even if not, Netflix may be the one to push it back, say a 3-week exclusive theater window, or 4 weeks, because when it comes down to it, you're not going to cancel your Netflix subscription, which is a lot more profitable than making blockbuster movies, because you want to go see a movie that Netflix has on Netflix that's in a movie theater. So I think Netflix, although they have said this is kind of a trial run, I do think it makes a lot of sense for both companies to do this sooner rather than later. And what I want to point out is that we have 3 movies that are now going to theaters as well. One of these is Sandra Bullock's movie. I actually just seen Jimmy Kimmel and Sandra Bullock last night. One of her films is going into theaters, and that is going to be a great sign overall. But the Hand of God, Don't Look Up, and The Lost Daughter are all playing in December. December 3rd theatrical release, December 10th, and December 7th. So they do have 3 good movies heading into theaters in the next month. I think it makes sense to let those play in some theaters. Now, this says right here, Cinemark, the third biggest cinema operator in the United States, will show Netflix upcoming zombie movie Army of the Dead in a majority of its 330 U.S. locations, the company announced yesterday. The film will play exclusively in theaters beginning on May 14th. A week later, it will debut on Netflix. So that was only a week long. So that definitely hurts the numbers a little bit, but it still, makes a lot of sense to be doing this. It says Cinemark will still have the option of continuing to stream the film beyond that point, but it will lose the exclusive access. Army of the Dead will also be shown at a handful of other U.S. theater chains for a total of about 600 locations, IndieWire reported. And that's the thing, 600 locations. AMC alone has about 1,000 locations. So if you want to do this the way that I think Netflix wants to do this, you have to include AMC and they have to strike a deal. Relatively sooner would be the best option. And AMC obviously trumps the other companies in terms of the amount of screens. Cineworld at 9,500 screens, but AMC at 11,041 screens. And Cinemark, the one that is partnered with obviously Netflix, has made an agreement with Netflix to show their films in their theaters, has less than 6,000. So what? Can I not talk? 6,000 screens. So AMC has almost double the amount of screens as Cinemark. Now, what it all really comes down to is the cost of making these movies. Army of the Dead, the movie with Batista, if you guys used to be WWE fans like I was when I was a kid, Batista, that was a zombie movie. That was a great movie theater worthy film as well. That movie cost $90 million to make. Now, Red Notice cost $200 million to make. So they cannot possibly, as far as a business revenue return rate is concerned, continue to make these movies that cost hundreds of millions of dollars without recouping some of that cost, at least in theaters. And that's not going to happen without AMC. As you guys can see from Netflix earnings, from their latest September 2021 earnings, they had $7.48 billion worth of revenue. Now, the cost of this revenue is extremely high. $4.21 billion is the cost of revenue, with a net profit margin of 19.36%. Although this has went up about 57% over the past year, a lot of this is due to them actually raising prices. Now they're spending a lot more to make these movies. Cost of revenue $2.41 billion. You guys could see back here, less than $4 billion to make this revenue numbers that they are making. So all in all, I think when you're making high quality films like that, you have to get as much revenue as possible. And the way to do that is by partnering with AMC. And like I said, they have about 3 films that are already going to theaters in December that they are going to continue to lose out on revenue on by not including AMC and not actually striking a deal. Now, how does this all play into AMC stock? Because that's all that matters. Forget Netflix numbers, forget Netflix films going into theaters. Who cares about that, right? We want the MOAS. We want the price of AMC to go up. And it comes down to what we are currently seeing at the moment. We are seeing very low volume, probably going to persist until we get a catalyst to send us up higher. And once you do get that volume, say the FOMO buyers go back into AMC stock, that's when you will see the big price movements to the upside. Some people are saying a 10x, a 30x, $10,000 per share. I'm not going to clickbait you guys like that. I'm not going to go out as far to say that, but I could definitely see a couple $100 per share just based off of if we get this kind of volume that we've seen back here in June, or even what we were seeing back here in August come back into the stock. Because even back here in August, when we were August, September, and we did hit about $53 per share, we had about 4 to 5 times more volume on a daily basis, even 10 times the amount of volume. 225 million for volume back here August 24th. We're seeing about 20 million in volume. That's 10x the amount of volume we were seeing back here, and that popped the stock about 20% in a single day. So imagine what that kind of volume would do to AMC now when you are sitting on very low volume. As well as that, AMC has shown its resiliency to remain at very high elevated prices as this volume has subsided. So people are holding on to their shares, and as long as people do continue to hold on, that is really showing you guys that we're going much higher. Watch for the volume to go up a lot, and watch for if the price does go down a lot in any given day. That will tell you guys people are selling. But like we've seen today, that's simply not the case with 27 million for volume, and we went down 5%. That is showing you guys there's a lot of shorting that is happening. We're not seeing that volume spike, but we are seeing the price staying relatively the same. Now, on top of that, along the same lines of FOMO buyers, you are seeing a lot of option activity as well. So you are seeing the same, I think it's the same couple thousand people that are playing the options every single week. But if this does happen by the end of the year, like I do think there is a good chance it will, this January 21st, 2021 or 2022 expiration is going to be very important, because we're almost sitting at 300,000 calls that are out of the money and already at 127,484 calls that are in the money. This could lead to a massive gamma squeeze as well. This is over 12 million 12 million shares that will have to be hedged for by this January 21st, 2022 expiration if we stayed the exact same price. If we just closed where we are currently at about $39.50 per share, you would see over 12 million shares, 12.7 million shares that would have to be hedged for by the market makers. That's not counting almost 30 million potential shares that would have to be hedged by the market makers if we did go fully in the money on this whole expiration date, right? So you're definitely looking at a lot of activity. The sentiment is still here for AMC. There's not a reason to be buying into the stock, but all it really comes down to in this video is the cost to make these movies for Netflix does not make sense to not let them out in theaters. And the way to recoup that money is by partnering with AMC. And ultimately, that is going to send FOMO buyers. That's going to be a big announcement for AMC. That's going to send a lot of people back into the stock. So hopefully this makes some sense to you guys. If it does, hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel, as well as let me know in the comment section what do you guys think about this information. Do you think this is possibly the next biggest catalyst for AMC? But always keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know the CEOs of either one of these companies. I don't know if this is even a thought in their minds. Common sense here, it's got to be a thought in their minds, and I think they are probably in discussions about this as we currently speak over the past couple of weeks, whatever the case is. All I'm saying, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't base any trades based off of what I am saying. Hopefully the logic makes sense to you guys, and you can take this information and do whatever you guys want to do with it. As well as that, like I said, check out the sponsor of this video. That is Moomoo. That is linked down below in the description to get a free share of Lucid Motors, as well as another free stock by opening a brokerage account and depositing $100. There is an expiration period on that. I believe you have about 2 to 4 weeks to sign up and fully complete that deposit before that is no longer an option. So there is about, less than 100 of you guys that have not actually completed. If you are one of them, make sure to complete that so you do get your free share of Lucid Motors, as well as the buy and sell alerts linked down below in the description as well. So that's going to be all. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.